Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm back after a weekend off. I know, I'm too good to myself now, I'm doing this full time. But not just am I back this week, well, Celtic are back this week. That's right, the football is back. It might only be pre-season friendlies, but after a long summer, I think that we can all agree that any form of football involving Celtic is good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that return. Let's talk about that and a few other things in today's video. Before we go any further with the video, please could I urge you, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. We're less than 500 away now from 35,000 subscribers, which means we're less than 500 away from a shirt giveaway. I might initiate it sooner, depending how the subs rise up at whatever pace. So yeah, if you haven't, please make sure to do that. It's much appreciated. Helps me out on this journey doing full-time YouTube, as I just mentioned. So yeah, let's talk about Celtic though. Let's quickly recap on Jota signing for the club, because I've not really had the chance to sit down and talk about it since it actually became official. Now, I released the podcast on Friday. That was pre-recorded from the Thursday night before. We basically knew that Jota was going to sign the next morning, so we spoke about everything we really had to, but we never had the full-on details. We never had the finalised terms to discuss on the podcast, and I think one of the biggest things about that Jota signing was the 5-year contract. And that was something that we never really got to discuss in that half-length podcast. 5-year deal for Jota. That is absolutely incredible. Brilliant news for Celtic fans. Brilliant news for the club in general. This is a player that we all know the quality of. And I don't need to rehash everything I've said in the past and on the build-up to signing Jota permanently. But one thing that has to be reiterated is that Jota is one of the most talented players that I have seen play for Celtic in my lifetime. And in terms of quality, he's up there with the very best. I think he's up there with the likes of your Moussa Dembele's, up there with your Virgil van Dijk's. He is on a level that I look at him as one of the best players to put on the hoops in recent years. And he's someone who's probably a level above the Scottish Premiership. Let's be honest. We've landed ourselves in a tremendous position with the Champions League football to influence the deal, with the way that last season went, this whole revolution feeling at Celtic. I think that Celtic is such a desirable place to be right now, and that's why we're in the position we can sign someone like Jota. The Champions League is probably the biggest draw. Let's not be mistaken here. Let's put the cards on the table. That's the biggest factor to making a signing like this happen. But so many times in years gone by and in recent memory, we've had players who've come through the door. We've absolutely adored them. We've loved them. They've been here on loan, and we've not been able to land them permanently for so many different reasons. But I just feel like, in general, Celtic is just more of an attractive place to be at the moment. You know, Jason Denayer, brilliant. We all wanted him to sign permanently. We couldn't do it. Patrick Roberts, we wanted to sign him permanently. We couldn't do it. Those are just two names that come to my head straight away in terms of quality players that we wanted to see stay at the club and sign at the club on permanent deals. And we couldn't do it. And yes, Champions League's a big part of that. But I just think that Celtic right now is such an attractive place to be. I think it's a place that players know that they can come in, they can play some sublime football under a manager whose vision is very unique. They can compete for trophies. And you look at the stepping stones that Celtic do create nowadays, there's been so many players that have kind of catapulted their careers onto bigger and better things. And I think Celtic is obviously a fantastic thing, you know, like, you know, you're playing for one of the biggest clubs in Europe. But you look at guys like Moussa Dembele, who's played in Champions League semi-finals with Lyon. You look at Virgil van Dijk, who's went on to do what he does. You look at some other players, even Edouard, that's maybe not worked as well for him at the moment in time, but a move to the Premier League. You know, Celtic is a place that you can achieve that, and I think now more than ever, it makes it a more realistic thing to achieve. But Jota being here on a 5-year deal is huge. Because let's be real, I don't think Jota will be here for the entirety of that 5-year contract. I really don't. If he keeps playing at the level that he did last season, give it a year or two, and the suitors will start to be looking at what to do and how to move in for him. English Premier League clubs, maybe clubs back over in Portugal, Spain, Italy. There's going to be teams all over Europe, those top 5 leagues, who'll be all over Jota if he continues to perform at the level he has and in the Champions League. And that's the thing, I think Jota will be able to deliver really good quality of football in that Champions League. So this is a big move for Celtic getting this 5-year deal done. Say by the end of 1 or 2 years, you're talking about a 25-30 million pounds player at Celtic's disposal here. And I want him to stay for the 5 years, don't get me wrong. I want to see him play for Celtic as long as possible. I'd love him to stay right up until he's, 27, 28 years old. But realistically, you could be making a lot of money from this 5-year deal. Very smart business from Celtic. It's just brilliant that we've got the deal done and over the line. I've got him up there behind me. There he is. Brilliant that we've got it done and over the line. Brilliant it's official. But even better is the business side of this deal as well. It's crazy. I had the chance to speak to Jota actually on Friday. I was at Celtic Park for the press conference to welcome into the club, photo opportunities as well. Sadly, I wasn't allowed to get a photo with him, but it was brilliant to speak to him. Lovely guy. I managed to throw in one question. We were only allowed one question each, so I had plenty that I would have loved to have asked him, don't get me wrong, but sadly it was only the one we could ask. Here it is now. I'll play it for you. Oh, Jota, welcome back. Pleasure to speak with you. Very different situation this year from last year because obviously you signed on deadline day and there was an expectation to come in and perform straight away. How does it feel this time around that you've got a full pre-season with Celtic, with the coach and the rest of the players to try and prepare for the next campaign?
Yeah, it was some crazy days last season, I still remember. On the deadline, then everything went well. This time I think I have time to prepare myself. I think it's actually the first time in 5 years that I can do a pre-season with a team that I will play or that I will be throughout the season. So I think it's good for everyone. I just want to prepare myself physically and mentally for the season that we are going to have and perform the best as I can.
Sounds delighted to be here. Sounds like he's raring to go. And as I touched on with my question, a big season for him in the sense that last year he signed on deadline day. He never had that opportunity to work with the team for a month or two beforehand to get to know the coach, the philosophy. He was thrown into the team and expected to deliver straight away. And the best part is he did deliver straight away. There was nothing that fazed him. There was no bedding in process. He delivered from the get-go. We knew how special he was from the get-go. This season, he's got a full pre-season under his belt. And as he touched on in his answer, this is the first time in 5 years that he says that he's had a full pre-season with one club. It's crazy, and hopefully that does wonders. That makes him even better. And we go on to have a fantastic season. So very quickly, I want to touch on, this could be a video in itself, and I feel like I could be here all day talking about this. And who knows, maybe we'll revisit it on this week's edition of the podcast if we sit down to do it. The problem with Celtic spending money. Now, Celtic already this transfer window have spent close to £20 million. Have spent $6.5 million on Jota and Cameron. Well, $6 million on Jota, $6.5 million on Cameron Carter-Vickers, or vice versa. Slipped my head now. We've spent money on, of course, Dyson Maeda, technically, who came in on that obligation to buy. We've brought in Bernabei for £3.5 million. We've also spent money on Siegrist, technically, with his wages. We've spent a lot of money. And people seem to have a problem with that. People were really taking great pleasure in kicking Celtic down when we announced the signing of Jota on Friday. I wish that I had, and hopefully by the time I get to edit and I've found a few of the tweets, but so many tweets from fans all over Scotland, giving it big ones about how Celtic, whatever Celtic do isn't that impressive because of the money we spend, blah, blah, blah. Listen, we made £40 million in the Champions League. We're entitled to spend our money. We want to improve as a football team. We want to get better. We're living in a dog-eat-dog world when it comes to football now. Celtic are never going to improve, and Scottish football is never going to improve if teams like Celtic don't spend money. Rangers fans, as well, they were having a little bit of a dig. Not all of them. And this is in terms of fans in general, but this wasn't everybody. This was a select few on Twitter. But, there was seen Rangers fans as well. It's not our fault that you're spending your time re-signing Alan McGregor and Stephen Davis. You want to go and sign players, go and sign players. Apparently the money's there. So go and do it. Spend it. It's not our problem. Celtic are doing their best to evolve as a club, get better players, and take us to another level that Ange Postecoglou clearly sees in his head. And us spending money is not an issue. That's not a problem. It's football. It's the way that the modern... And I don't like that football has become this kind of money-orientated sport. I wish that we were in a position where Celtic could develop academy players, not spend money, move forward like that, and basically be... I would love us to do a kind of 1967 type thing. That'd be great if we had a homegrown squad that were good enough. You can't do that in modern football. Celtic and Rangers and everybody in Scottish football will continue to falter in Europe and fall down the pecking order if they don't play catch-up with these other teams. That's the sad reality of football now. And Celtic spending money is all they can do to try and keep up. We are still spending tiny amounts compared to the clubs we're having to compete against in the Champions League. I think out of all those clubs in the Champions League group stages that have qualified thus far, there's maybe one or two of them who don't outspend Celtic. I think Club Brugge, they don't really outspend us. I think there's another one or two in there who could be in a similar sort of ballpark. If Celtic want to progress, They need to spend, and that domino effect happens. We get better, the country gets better, and ultimately we're able to progress as a unit. Everybody crying and moaning about it is just jealousy at the end of the day. And I understand, it's frustrating if you're a Hibs fan or a Hearts fan or a Aberdeen fan or any other club in Scotland and you're watching as your team struggles to spend big money while Celtic go and spend 20 million quid at the drop of a hat. Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. But Celtic have worked to be in this position. Celtic have got the fan base to be in this position. Ultimately, that's just the life of being a Celtic fan. We get this. Sorry, there's not much, and it sounds kind of entitled. It sounds kind of arrogant, but Celtic fans don't exactly have control over it. We just watch. We want our club to get better, and this is how we get better. It's very petty complaints from those who care so much. Is how I'd wrap it up. Yeah, that's that. That little part of the video is done. Celtic are back this week. In general, we do play 2 pre-season friendly games this week. Celtic head to Austria for their pre-season camp, the warm-up camp, if you like. 2 games. On Wednesday, we play Wiener Victoria, and on Saturday, we play Rapid Vienne. 2 decent enough games. A good chance to see the team back in action, and as always with pre-season games, there's not too much to expect. I've not got this expectation of great football. It's just a chance to see the guys get some minutes in their legs. We'll get the opportunity of rotation and such, obviously, which is always good with these pre-season friendlies. A run out for some of the younger guys, maybe. But I remember last year, and we spoke about this in the podcast, and I think it got cut out because of the technical failures. But last year I was so buzzing for the friendlies because we were off the back of that awful season. We were walking into the unknown with Ange Postecoglou, and there was a real buzz about those friendly games. Now I feel the same way. I've got a real kind of excitement heading into them. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do in these games and seeing the guys pick up from where they left off. And obviously it takes us nicely into the start of the new season. So there's so much to be excited about. I don't expect, brilliant quality games in these friendlies, but it's just nice to see the team back in action. A couple of other wee daft stories to kind of cover before we end up the video. Everton are in talks to replace Rangers in the Sydney Super Cup, the one that's being dubbed the controversial Sydney Super Cup after Rangers chucked it. Everton are in talks from the Premier League, would be a good replacement. Of course, the People's Club down in Liverpool, that would be a good replacement, I suppose. I expected a Premier League club to kind of come in and fill the void. It would have been nice if it was one of the big boys, Man United, Liverpool, etc. But with the World Cup on, players being away, etc., I don't really care. I would have liked it to be in like South Melbourne or something, to be honest, or one of Ange's, or Yokohama or something like that. I think that would have been great. I would take it. It's a fucking friendly tournament, you know what I mean? I'm happy that the derby won't be happening, but it's any team will do, I think. And Everton's a decent suggestion. Of course, Frank Lampard and his mob. Yeah, there you go. That's the rumours right now. Not confirmed yet, but they're in talks to apparently take the place of Rangers. And finally, the home kit has been officially released. That was released on Saturday, I think. Well, it was announced on Saturday. And I've reversed my opinion 180 degrees. The leaked photos made it look worse, but I love the look of it now in the new modelled photos and such. I think the only thing that still annoys me is the daft silver on the shirt. That still gets to me a little bit. But look, it's a nice throwback type of thing. Reminds me of a very 90s-esque design. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. It's grown on me a lot, so I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. I feel like that happens to me all the time with Celtic shirts. I'll hate it, and then it grows on me, and I'll end up buying it anyway. I said I'd do that. I knew that would happen all along. But there you go. That's the new home shirt. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. And there you go. That is the video to start the week. Monday afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully some news dropping. Then, of course, we play on Wednesday. So we'll be there to talk about that, cover all of that. It's going to be a fun week having some football back, isn't it? Let me know how you feel in the comments. Right, that'll do. Like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.